Magma Sprays again today and get a feel for if these are reasonable or not. This is a lot of board slots, but I feel like it's a pretty relevant and reasonable effect. It's good in a lot of places, and it's like good. Killing Flamewake Phoenix and Bloodghast is really reasonable. Hoping you top 8 in Indy. Been playing against it online a ton lately. That's funny. Yeah, that sounds great. The tap plan kind of sucks. Thank you for the 2-month free subscription, by the way, Stanth. I appreciate it. The tap plan feels a little bit bad, but I think the Fumarole's been good. There's a non-zero chance that this card should just be another fetch land or a basic island, but give it another league or two before we make that decision. What's going on, extras? Yeah, Anoronics. I think the deck list formats on the site has the potential to be very reasonably popular. And even if it's just only good for people that like watch my stuff, I think that'll be helpful too. It'll be nice to be able to point people, like, people come in here all the time and like ask how do they get started in Modern, instead of saying go to Goldfish, and I'll be able to say go to my site and take a look at all these decks that I've played, and you can watch videos of them, etc, etc. Yeah, I don't know, Demir Spy. I kind of wanted enough removal to be able to cut all of my removal against, or to be able to cut all my counterspells against humans, but I also wanted like some pseudo graveyard hate, and it definitely fills both those roles. Reality Shift seems kind of loose. This is the type of deck where you care about the 2/2 that's left over. Three toughness lord onto 2-drop. Sure, I mean, like, when they draw their best cards in their best configuration, their deck's gonna be really good against you. Seems like a fair assessment. So they shocked on 1, so I assume they have a bolt here. I can mana leak that though. Morning, Jat. Yeah, Downtown was supposed to go for another 45 minutes yet, so it's nice that it came up a little bit early. Yeah, I'm card for card what we played yesterday. Alright, the read on the bolt was correct. I'm gonna go ahead and just mana leak this, I think. Cry Freedom with that brand new Twitch Prime support. Thank you very much and welcome. I do appreciate that. There's a lot of great people making a lot of great stuff on Twitch right now. Thanks for supporting mine this month. I don't know what you mean by Turbo Dragons. That is not descriptive in the slightest. Please be more specific. Do not understand what you mean by Turbo Dragons. They playing Storm with main deck bolts? Is that what's happening? I didn't put them on Storm when they bolted me. Weird. Are we dead here? Are they killing us with only 1 land? That's so absurd. God, that feels bad. Right? I mean, well, I guess we're dead. Yeah, I guess we're dead. What a weird build. Main deck bolt and empty. Yeah, strange build of Storm. Definitely wouldn't have countered the bolt if I knew what they were doing. No, I'm pretty confident that I want 3 of them. The Nimble Obstructionist has been very good consistently. Pretty confident that 3 is the number that I want to play. I think I want this Negate here as well. This deck has a very good matchup against normal Storm, but Bolt into empty is something. I don't understand why Sarkin makes that deck better than the garbage that it was before. Like, those decks generally have a really hard time with decks getting under them, and Sarkin doesn't fix that. I guess it helps you filter through your garbage in the mid to late game, but I don't see Sarkin fixing issues that archetype has at a glance. Censor's probably not good enough, especially bringing in Dispel and Negate. Yeah, the opponent super got rewarded for playing cards that are not the normal combination of cards in their deck, for sure. Fully agree. We would have just like mana leaked or bolted the Boreal had they been on a more typical build. Bear Senior, if I've not responded to you, I probably have not seen your Whisper. I would need to see a deck list, Bear. I'm not sure the deck that you're referring to. I never say yes or no to something I'll play without seeing a deck list. No, I think Unsubstantiate's better. A lot of the times their Past in Flames is being flashed back anyways, so Unsubstantiate is valuable there. I think Disdainful Stroke is really terrible against Storm post board because good Storm players, in my experience, are almost always boarding out their copies of their foreign, like they're usually boarding down on gifts and boarding up on things like, what's the 3 mana card? Whatever the 3 mana card is. In my experience, that's what Storm players are doing in these interactive matchups. Pieces of the puzzle, yep. I think if you could play Disdainful Stroke game 1 against Storm, I think it would be very good. But I think post-board, Disdainful Stroke is actually pretty mediocre in this matchup, especially with how much counter magic our deck has in general. Like, if you have, like, no counter magic, maybe Disdainful Stroke is better than just, like, doing nothing, but I think Disdainful Stroke is, in general, not very good. Right now, Wannabe Beetle. If they don't give us something to remand, I'm playing a 2-1. We need to kill them. We are the beatdown. This deck probably plays Snapcaster Mage as a 2-1 more than any other deck in Modern. You don't have a clock, play your 2-1. Kill them. That being said, let's just send that back right where it came from. This is match 1, game 2, or you can just do this if it works. That's why the record command was disabled for so long, because apparently it never works. We are down a game in this first match. I would like to bolt you. I would like to Snapcaster bolt you. Yep, just telling you what my experience has been, Janice. I don't think that Storm players, at least the Storm players I have played against, haven't really dictated their decisions based on graveyard hate. That's the... I'm just gonna time you out for being silly. This league was started before or while the stream was live, so keep your conspiracy theories to yourself, please and thank you. We could die here, but I think this is right. I don't know, I have this bolt still. Bolt snap bolt is the Blue Sea Dread, right? If they don't have a bunch of rituals in hand, we could be in a good spot here. If they do have a bunch of rituals, we're in a lot of trouble, obviously. I like getting pressure into play. I like sending their mana back to their hand. Like, that Gifts Ungiven is going to get them a bunch of mana, and we know they have a Boreal, so, like, guaranteeing they don't have Boreal plus mana next turn seems ideal. Yeah, that resolves. If they have 2 rituals, we could be in trouble here. I guess they could have Ritual plus Remand as well. So, kill me. This is going to be Goblins. Past in Flames. Past in Flames into Goblins. If it's Past in Flames into Goblins, we're actually going to be in a good bit of trouble here. Hopefully this is just a grape shot. If it's Goblins, we're pretty dead. I guess we could technically draw some burn spells out of it, but we're pretty dead. Cry Freedom with the $15 donation. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. I'm assuming this is for a dono deck. Let's take a peek here. Nope, no comment. Well, thanks for the support. I appreciate it. Bolt upstairs, bolt upstairs. Grape shot for 10. Yeah, they're going to clean my board out here. What's the reason why? Because I want to leave up the maximum amount of interaction. Leaving Snapcaster up as well also means that we're able to add more pressure to the table, which is ideal. Thanks for the great content you make every day. Feel like me Monday. Thanks for the 2 months, Excapo. I appreciate it. What's the idea behind the mix of main deck counterspells you choose? The mix of main deck counterspells is that all of our counterspells are conditional, and different conditional counterspells are different in different situations. So I'm playing a mix of them so we can burn spell. Burn spell. Well, I mean, that's almost a burn spell, I guess. Hot take. Storm's never been good. It just feels bad to lose to. All I'm going to say is John Finkel played a Modern Pro Tour and registered Tron lands. That's all you need to know about Storm, okay, chat? All you need to know about Blue-Red Storm is John Finkel played a Modern Pro Tour and registered Tron lands. Hey, look, a burn spell. I don't actually think actual counterspell would be that good. I think people underestimate how easy it is to cast cards like that with these Mutavaults in my basic mountain in my deck. And I like the Mutavaults in the basic mountain. The Mutavaults, case in point, are very, very good. I think I'm happy with how I sideboarded. Honestly, maybe the unsub is worse than a Censor. Although I guess it like bounces their creature onto. Yeah, I'm probably just going to keep the unsub. Yeah, I've seen some of the Moto Grinders have been playing like one of the Wizard counterspell, and I think that's absurdly greedy and just unnecessary. That was an absurd draw. This hand was a little bit sketchy. That was a good draw. Moogie, thank you very much for the brand new tier 1 sub. Welcome back. Hey, Janice. I top baited a bunch of opens in a row with Kiki Cord. You know how playable that deck is? It's unplayable garbage. So, results are whatever. The best skill that you can develop as a Magic player is being able to identify when you're winning with a deck and it's still terrible. That's a skill that a lot of people fail to develop, I think. I think a lot of people fail to come to the conclusions that like this deck I'm winning a lot with it. Like I can't tell you the number of times like I played a deck at like an IQ or a 1K and like I top 8'd or I won the tournament and my conclusion after playing it was I'm never playing this deck again because it is terrible. Just like the number of times it's just like, yes, it just feels, well, that's a good Spell Snare target. I'm going to fetch Shock here because I would like to have plenty of red mana, I think. Although maybe with the bolts I shouldn't. Miser Spell Snare MVP, chat. Miser Spell Snare MVP. We've got these Stifle Birds here. If they don't give us something to stifle or negate, we will just go ahead and flash one into play and start beating them down. This is our first match. Game 3. Snare feels like an odd sideboard card to me. Gosh, second counterspell. 4 mana to cast him. Honestly, Burgle, there's a non-zero chance that it is. There's a chance I should be on 4 birds in 2 clicks. Yeah, can stifle a Storm Trigger, Anoronics. 10 out of 10. Oh, look at that. Don't you? I always feel so smart. And then something like this comes up, and they're like, I wouldn't board in pieces here. I was like, they always board in pieces against me. It's like, yeah, there's the pieces. Getcha. I think I'm okay with that just because I have 2 more birds in my hand. I think this negate's gonna fight something more valuable. If I had Unsubstantiate there, I would have put the bird back in my hand. I'm only calling it Delver Phase still because if I name it something else, people will get confused. It's always been blue-red counterburn. I probably should have called it blue-red counterburn from the start, if we're being honest. I think Squelch is pretty bad. You could play Shadow of Doubt, though. Shadow of Doubt's definitely a card that you could register in this deck. Blue-red, protect the queen. God save the queen. God save the queen. Come on. Make some goblins. Let's do it. Make some goblins. Make some goblins. Or try. You know, you can try to make some goblins. Hooray! Half a year of Magic Beams. Must fall casting. Thank you for the 6 months. I appreciate it. Welcome back. I think I just let this happen here. No, I think I just let this happen. It looks like they're setting up to remand the Grape Shot. And I think I'd like to negate their remand. Or just play another bird out here, potentially. I guess I could unsub my bird. No, they're targeting my bird 3 times, which is smart. I think I want to unsub my bird here. I could just play the other bird. Yeah, I'm just going to play the other bird. I think that's better. That's fine. Maybe I should have unsubbed the remand there. It's very possible. Why would Black-Green Rock be an elf deck? Hots. You should click on my website and click on and look at the deck list. It's all there. It's all there. All the information is there. Deal. No, I think that's just good play. The opponent's prioritizing killing my threats, which is important. They understand what the game is about. I have negates and unsubstantiates to beat Storm. So, really not super concerned here. Yeah, green black is great. Green black is great. Very, very good. You're a wizard, fairy. Targeting the bird twice means I can't just cast like a negate or a spell snare or a mana leak to counter the only copy that's targeting my bird, because I want to try and guaranteed kill my bird. Yeah, I only have time for 2 decks today. Moto had downtime this morning, but I can't. I have Christy has somewhere to be tonight, so I have to hang out with the kids after they get out of daycare, so I can still only go till about 5 o'clock. And this deck and the Dice Factory deck both tend to generate longer games of Magic. I think this deck has a good Tron matchup in my experience. It has both Disruption and an Efficient Clock. And it gets to play cards like Alpine Moon. And you're dead. Alright, well, they stole the first game against us because they had both Lightning Bolt and Empty the Warrens in their main deck. But, like I said, I think the Storm matchup is pretty good for this deck in general, and that went about how I expect it to go. Can you talk more about Alpine Moon versus Blood Moon? Alpine Moon versus Blood Moon is a very simple question you want to ask yourself. Do you want to screw fair interactive mid-range decks, or do you want a card that's good against big mana decks? Blood Moon is a card that screws fair interactive mid-range decks. Alpine Moon is a card that's very mana efficient at disrupting big mana decks. I'm more interested in disrupting big mana decks with this slot. I don't think I need Blood Moon to steal games against interactive decks. If you think your Jeskai and your green-black matchup is really bad, you can play Blood Moon to try and get them. But if you don't think those matchups are terrible, you don't need to play Blood Moon. It's a 2-mana difference. Blood Moon costs 3, Alpine Moon costs 1. I think it's pretty good. Needs another land, but pretty great other than that. Yeah, Blood Moon turning off our creature lands is not negligible. And like, our creature lands are very good in the fair matchups, so that's a big part of why I think Blood Moon's not amazing here. I'm glad I didn't just try and sit down. I forgot my computer chairs in the other room because I was cleaning earlier today. Will Delver flip? We probably won't untap with Delver. This dude dies a lot, but that's fine. That's fine. But I think this deck has a good matchup against Jeskai. I think this deck has a coin flip matchup against the 50% deck. It feels sad but right, Squeeb. It feels sad but right. Survey says. Rude. Alright, so we're definitely attacking for 1 here. The question becomes, do I want to play Grim Lavamancer or not? I think I do. I think I want to just, like, get my second threat into play here. Just, like, grab my basic mountain. Morning, Stanley. Speaking of Jeskai, they draw Bolt. They drew Bolt. Rude. That's fine. Joke's on you. My card wasn't going to flip anyways. I'm going to play this Vendilion Clique now. Don't forget, just because your cards are instants does not mean you have to play them on your opponent's turn. Double Electrolyze, no land. Well, guess what we're hoping they don't draw next turn, chat? Guess what we're hoping they don't draw next turn? This might be a concession land coming in here. This might... If they miss on the land drop and we get to unsubstantiate them, we could actually be okay here. If they miss on the land drop, we could be okay. That probably means we're dead. Probably means we're dead. Does not feel good, that is for sure. When do I update the queue? At the end of every stream, I add all decks that people have sent me money for. That's true. If they draw a fetch, we can stifle them off of it. That's actually really funny. Tasty. Tasty. Think I'm just activating this. No, we're never outgrinding a Jeskai deck. Our goal is to get under them. Getting under them is the game plan. I'm gonna wait and just activate this for 2, I think, to get my damage in. The drawing a second land feels really bad. The fact that we just, like, when it turn cycle and didn't get to use our mana there feels rancid. I think I'm just supposed to let these happen. No, that's a lie. We probably did here. Like I said, the fact that they ripped a Helix probably means we're just too far behind. If we would have been able to untap with the Clique and apply pressure while we were doing all that, we could have been potentially okay, but the way this has been played out is not good for us. Now, I'm gonna make them kill us. Like, I definitely wouldn't concede here in a tournament. Like, for one, our deck is way better at, our deck is way better at killing quickly than theirs is, so the clock is a much bigger problem for them than for us. No, you just prevent 3 damage, Chris, because the mountains are still in play. Right on time, Spell Snare. This deck has an okay matchup against humans. You're playing 8 lightning bolts. Yeah, we're playing the deck list on the stream deck, are we, McGee? Correct. Unsub works the same as Remand, that is correct. Gosh, this is a sweet game of Standard. Censor your Teferi. Was that Censor good for anybody else? It was good for me. I'm gonna get my 4 in while I can here, knock them to 10. They have Cryptic, Verdict, Electrolyze in hand. Anybody who thought they might have been ghosting, erase that thought from your mind, please. Yeah, you can actually unsub Supreme Verdict, which is kind of absurd for this deck. Just feels really, really good. This really kind of sucks. Not only are we flooding, but we've only drawn 1 creature land, which feels pretty bad. We have 5 creature lands in our deck. We're gonna see him activate the field on the Fumarole here. No, they want to keep the card that they scryed. Fair. Colonnade's a big one. If they attack with this, I'm going to animate. Just, like, get them to pull the trigger on this field, I think. Alright, it's a good draw. Gives us some bolt, snap, bolt action. So they have Verdict, Cryptic, and then 1 card I don't know. Again, very important thing about playing this deck is identifying your role in whatever matchup you're playing. Right now, we're the burn deck. So, do I just let this happen? So I'm at a virtual I'm at a virtual 11. This would put me to 9. And then I would die to a thing next turn. I think I do this. I think this is fine. I think I just let the path happen here. So I can still flashback Wizard Lightning, paying 3 here. Once the Snapcaster Mage has entered play, it has to choose a target for its trigger. So I wouldn't be able to snap back the Wizard Lightning if I played the Snapcaster Mage first. It's not a legal play. The problem with unsubbing the Snap is that it means I can't flash back the Wizard Lightning, which I think makes it not good enough. I think I just want to, like, hit their face here. If I could still bolt them, I would 10 out of 10 unsub the Snap, but I think because I can't, I don't do that. Yeah, and just like that early turn where they ripped the Helix was just like such a big deal. That's a good draw. Yeah, we have 6 bolts in our deck, and they're probably going to play pretty scared here. Sure. No, they're like painfully aware that this Fumarole exists. What did you say, opponent? I didn't catch that. Did you stutter? So that extra land is important because it means my opponent can Field of Rune plus activate or plus cast Cryptic Command in the same turn. I think I'm supposed to pass here. I think jamming Delver into Cryptic is a bad idea. They literally have Field of Rune in play, Jack. They literally have Field of Rune sitting right here. There's no reason to attack with the Fumarole. Well, I could bolt them in response to the Field of Rune activation, Nathan. I mean, it doesn't really make the next creature land better, and like taking a really mana inefficient play to like make my next creature land potentially better seems really terrible. All right. This is what I wanted to force to happen. I felt like the way their mana has been this game, they were going to be forced to use their Field of Rune without me having to activate my creature land, just so they could set up for a future turn that's better for them. Yeah. You wanna play your bolts at exactly opportune times. There is no margin for error. I could unsub the Fumarole. That requires me to tap all sorts of mana, though, which probably results in me dying to Celestial Colonnade. My goal here is to just live and draw burn spells. That's the goal. The goal is to survive long enough to cast burn spells. Maybe I'm supposed to play this Delver. Oh, I don't think I want to end step Sprite yet. They have Cryptic Command. I'm like trying to not let them use mana for this Cryptic Command is the goal here. All right, that's the game. Not beating that one. That was a pretty close game considering how badly we flooded there. We only got pathed once and we ended up with like, what, 12 lands or so? 10 lands, 9 lands, something like that. It's definitely a close game considering how few pieces of action we drew. Grim Lavamancer seems kind of medium. I don't know if I want to unsubstantiate in this matchup or not. Sub for the Magic. Originally, then for Hex, now for Fairies. What a wild ride. What's going on, Life? Thanks for the 7 months and welcome back. Roast is a sorcery and doesn't hit flying creatures. It's Jace. Yeah, I guess that's fair, Ripjack. Sprite, unsub Sprite again. Yeah, maybe that was worth shoving. Yeah, I think you're right. I wasn't thinking about using the unsub with it. I think I agree with you. I think I just want less burn, more counterspells in this matchup. I think I want less burn, more counterspells. I think that seems good. Pia seems great. Unsub's pretty reasonable. 2 strokes might be overkill. Countering Teferi and possible Baneslayer Angels is important, though. I don't know exactly what the translation is, DJ Red Lantern, but yeah, I'm pretty confident we want 2. We want 2 copies of what's it called? Grim Lavamancer in the main deck. Card's been very good. Yeah, it does counter Cryptic too, that's true. Oh, you know what? Disdainful Stroke also counters Logic Knot most of the time, which is a good use of it. No, I think Unsubstantiate's very important in this matchup. Not only can it pick one of our own threats up, but it counters counterspells effectively the same way Remand does, and it can send their Baneslayer Angel back to their hand, giving us enough time to kill them. The Magma Sprays are extra shocks against creature decks and also good against Bloodghast, is the idea. And also Tempo Supreme Verdict, that's true. And I expect them to leave Verdict in against us, right? Like we're a counterspell-based creature deck. Yeah, I think being an instant's a big deal, Bolas. Oh, they changed this interface. These colors are different. Would you like to reveal this card? I would not. I don't think I want to draw another Delver either, right? What do you think? Do I want to draw a Delver there? I guess I kind of want to draw a Delver so I can't get Lightning Helix in response here. Yeah, this is a bad play. I'm going to get Lightning Helix and just feel like shit now. I should have just drawn the Delver, played my Spirebluff Canal, and like played my other 1-1 out. Yeah. Yeah, I threw this game in the garbage. Pretty bad. Drawing the other Delver was fine with the Mana Leak and the Snapcaster Mage in my hand. Don't play crappy splits. Play the card that's better. Like, you're not bringing in Pillar of Flames, and when you're bringing in the Magma Sprays, they're in matchups where you're by and large the control deck. It's basically what it comes down to. So, if you're the control deck, you don't need the types of effects that you're talking about, basically. So if you're the aggro deck, you shouldn't be bringing in Pillar of Flame or Magma Spray is basically what it comes down to. I don't think these matchups are bad. I think if you feel like you need to play something like Ancestral for these matchups, you should play better Magic in them. A lot of these matchups have a ton of decision points, and it's very easy to cop out and just be like, oh, it's a bad matchup, I don't have enough sideboard cards, when in reality, you should just play tighter. Just, like, play better Magic. I jam the Snapcaster Mage. Hopefully we get Cryptic commanded. I assume they're gonna have removal plus counter or double removal here, but it's whatever. Get my 3 points of damage in. It's like my lightning bolt drew card. There's no way I get to untap with this, right? I do. I get to untap with this. Mutavault. 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 We're gonna kill this during my upkeep. We're helixing. All right. Let's mana leak that. So they're negating my leak. I have like 6 different things I can do with this Unsubstantiate. So it's kind of appealing to unsub the Snap. I could just unsub the Negate though, so I can keep attacking. I think I want to unsub the Negate so I can attack them. Like again, it's about role assessment. It's about like what do I think I'm supposed to be doing in this matchup. Like I feel a little bit bad if my opponent has like Snapcaster Mage for this Helix next turn, but I don't think I'm winning a game that goes super long, so I think I just want to try and kill them. Like hopefully their hand is just like a bunch of cryptic commands and negates. I think this whole game was decided by my bad fetch on turn 2. I definitely should not have done that. I allowed my opponent to gain infinite tempo by making that decision. They just like took my threat off the table and they gained a bunch of health back. So like I secure the waste for a bunch? Sure. I mean, they kind of have a 4/4 up in the sense that like if they want to tap all of their lands, they can have a 4/4. I think I just leave all these in their hand. None of their cards impact the board, so... Cryptic, like, kind of impacts the board, but, like, not really. Love to draw, like, a Nimble Obstructionist here, so if they activate the Colonnade, we get to stifle it and draw a card. Again, just, like, drawing a bunch of lands and not drawing any creature lands. I expect to draw a bunch of lands each game, like, even though our deck has less lands than they do, but it would be nice if, like, some of them could attack. The games where you draw, like, 7+ lands and don't see, like, 2 creature lands feel pretty bad. We're not out of this game, but definitely not in a great spot. Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and concede at this point. It's not worth the time. No, I think we're not supposed to fetch. I think we were in the market for a second clock, and putting the mana leak down so I couldn't protect my existing threat was also very bad. I think I just made like 2 bad decisions in a row. Not only was I in the market for another threat, but I should have made a couple of things. Why? So like again, Lukachog, like you're looking at this matchup where I flooded out and I almost killed them in game 1, and then I made a mistake that probably would have killed them in game 2. So it's like, why are you sitting there trying to like tell me we need, or suggesting we need to change the sideboard when like I could have played better Magic to like make it happen? Like you don't take a bunch of cards and like try and make your good matchups better. Like I already didn't have a lot of cards that I wanted to cut in that matchup. So like why are we making changes? Again, you want to be making changes with purpose. You want to have a reason for doing the things that you're doing. You don't just want to go, well, it felt real bad to lose to Jeskai. I want to bring in 8 cards against Jeskai next turn. I don't think we want anything. That's why I don't have them in my sideboard. Again, purpose, reasons. This is, do I want this? Why or why not? Would love to sprite your opt. This could be straight blue-white as well. No, this is a new match. People love Hallowed Fountains. I'm fine. Life is swell. Moto was down for a little bit this morning, so we started a little bit late. But we're not starting late because of my reasons. No, I think you have Nimble Obstructionist and Unsubstantiate to tempo Celestial Colonnades. It takes the opponent an absurd amount of mana to activate Celestial Colonnade. Just like beat them via tempo afterwards. Alright, real question here. Do I want to main phase click them? I kind of want to main phase click them here. Just get super aggressive. Second Mutavault's pretty good too, though. Yes, we've stifled Colonnade activation on more than one occasion. You can't stifle the search flip. You have to stifle the entire trigger, which means they just get to do it next turn. I think I want to go ahead and play the click. This feels really bad if we see like double verdict or we click them into a verdict. We're probably not clicking them if we don't see a verdict. We're probably not taking a card, sorry, if we don't see a verdict. And the path there in response means verdict's pretty unlikely, which is great. And again, this is a game where we've got 2 Mutavaults in place. We're going to be in a pretty good spot. Should hopefully be in a pretty good spot. Be more specific. Detention Sphere, Path to Exile, Snapcaster Mage. I don't think I care about any of these cards. I think I just let them keep all of these. So you can maybe argue I could take the Snapcaster Mage, but not really. I'm just going to let those go. You can keep all of those. Those are the, but never forget, the best Vendilion Cliques is where you look at their hand and go, yep, keep them. Those are the best ones, chat. Absolute best ones. Feels bad, man. Do I want to fire up both of these? I don't think so. What if we didn't do that? What if instead we just didn't? That's weird, opponent. Why'd you throw your land in the graveyard? Your control deck. It seems like you probably want to keep your lands. You think they're going to field aggressively here? Come on, bird, 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 bird. Darn it. This card is so much worse than Nimble Obstructionist. Why are we playing this card and not Nimble Obstructionist? Should there just be 4 We're probably going to play 4 Obstructionists tomorrow. I like how we got them with that, and then they were just like, yo, dog, pass, I don't care. I agree, Burgle. I think Clique is actually worse than Nimble Obstructionist. And I think I want 6 of them, but I think I want 4 of them to be... I think I want 4 of them to be Nimble. Look at Blue Red Fairies has a well-developed resume, okay? Includes being a Pawns deck. Alright, so I think I just let this happen because I get to play this Delver and then Mana Leak the Snapcaster. No, I think Sprite's fine. Like, most good modern decks have 1 mana spells, chat. Spellstutter Sprite isn't good because it's countering 2, 3, and 4 mana cards. Spellstutter Sprite is good because it's countering 1 mana removal on your threats. What's going on, Faraday? Thank you for the 7-month resubscription. I appreciate that. Welcome back. And again, like, if this was a Nimble Obstructionist, they'd be down a land, so they wouldn't be able to activate this Colonnade. We could stifle this Colonnade activation, so a lot of things have gone poorly for us here. A lot of things have gone poorly here. That's a good pickup. Yep. Those cards feel really bad to draw at this point, or past the point of these cards being useful. That's basically what it comes down to. Draw a step, click them. Alright, now I'm going to do this now and take their D-Sphere. I basically just didn't want them to be able to Terminus me. Clicking myself into the Remand. That's a good line. That would have been good legit advice. Username checks out. That was the line. I should have clicked myself and drawn the Remand and remanded the path and then smacked them in the face with my Delver. That is a very good line. It definitely should have happened. I agree with that assessment. I've actually started on that Setadar. I've got it on, I'm just gonna concede this game. We should have won this for sure. I think we had the tools to win this and I just fucked up. I definitely had the tools to win that game and just messed it up. And again, like, I feel like a lot of people will watch games like that and be, well, I need a bunch of cards for blue-white control. It's like, well, the reality is, if I just played better Magic, this is the type of deck where if you are not playing good Magic and getting every percentage point, you're not going to win a lot of games of Magic with this deck and decks like this. This deck does not have a high power level in the cards that you're playing. This is a tiny edges deck where you need to eke out every percentage point of every Magic card you're playing, or you might as well not show up with it. It's a very rewarding deck to play. If you play it well, you're going to feel good. But most of the losses that you have are going to be because you made a mistake. This isn't Valakut or Tron, where sometimes your deck's just so good you're going to beat your opponent anyways. Thanks, Magic. I mean, what do you mean by competitive? The deck is competitive in that you can win matches of Magic with it. Like, do you want me to assign an arbitrary tier number to it? It's tier 4. What does tier 4 mean? I don't know. Ask 4 different people and get 4 different answers. It's tier playable. When I sort the decks into tiers on my website, I'm going to put it under the playable tier. Exactly 6 point. And Burgle's a scientist, so if Burgle gave it a 6.8, you know it's correct. That's such a silly question. I hate when people ask for measurements things we can't measure objectively. Like, you're just asking me to make stuff up. And I'm not gonna sit here and make stuff up, which is basically what you're asking me to do. Unless you give me clearly defined bounds for why we're defining things in specific ways, I can't give you any types of measurements without a base system to measure from. What's the 6.8 out of, right? I wanted to put a 1/1 into play anyways. I would love to counter your spell while doing so. Modern is a format that's popular because any deck running... Shred just won a Classic. That deck is also not good. Modern is a tournament where the decks that are mostly not good, like this one, like Scred, like the piles of other decks people tend to play, are still competitive and can do well because the best decks in Modern aren't that much better than these decks. No, there's not an equation to calculate the tier of a deck. Things that don't exist for 100. Sure, but how do you measure popularity? Do you measure popularity based on top 8s, based on top 32s, based on X3s, based on day 2 percentages, based on how many people showed up to a tournament with it? Like, again, like you're giving me this metric, but this metric isn't clearly defined, which makes it useless for assigning that metric to things and talking about it. Yeah, that's exactly why Modern is the most competitive format Magic has ever had. You can find a deck that you enjoy playing, and you can have a chance to do well with it in a tournament with your friends. Like, I think this is a deck that if you enjoy the type of Magic that it's playing, and you play really good Magic with it, you're going to be able to be successful in the tournaments that you want to be successful in. Where does that fall, and how competitive it is, or what tier it is? I don't know. Like we've been talking about, those are made up things. Those are made up things that nobody agrees on. So why even bring it up? Untapped land's actually pretty good here because it means I get to animate this and stifle their Field of Ruin. I think I just let this happen. I think I'm just in for this. That's fine. Resolves. No, I think we just put the fear of Obstructionist in them. Like, don't assume every time your opponent makes a good play they're ghosting, chat. Come on now. Sometimes people just play good Magic. I know this is just a friendly league, so there's big bad monsters on parts of the internet that have told you that nobody plays good Magic outside of them competitive high gambling leagues, but that's just not true. 16 more turns, opponent. 16 more turns. You, me, and the Spellstutter Sprite. 16 more turns. Telling time. Resolves. There should be a metric for win percentage in X tournaments. Well, here's the problem. You can't get win percentages from decks. Magic doesn't provide that data. It's not available anywhere. So you're right. If we could clearly define decks based on their win percentage in tournaments, I would agree with you. That would be a great way to classify tiers of decks, but that's actually impossible to do in Magic. So next idea, please. I'm gonna cast this now, just while they don't have a bunch of counter spells up. Although I guess I have Mana Leak and Dispel, so maybe I should end step this. Yeah, it's very possible I should end step this rather than do this now because I have Dispel and Mana Leak. I definitely, playing against these Field of Ruin Path to Exile decks has definitely made me like having access to 4 basic lands. So I'm pretty confident that that's the floor on number of basic lands I'm willing to play. I'm going to Dispel this Path to Exile, though, because this is a 3-power flyer. Condemn. Stop it. If so few cards left here, Is it absurd to just double Mana Leak here? I'm not actually sure offhand, Zubrin. I haven't been keeping up on Magic Standard format. Yeah, like the leaks are gonna have like diminishing returns from here on out, right? So like the leaks are gonna be countering a spell plus keeping my plus hitting them for 3. Yeah, I guess I could bolt them there. I kind of like having a bolt left over to clear a planeswalker, though. Alright, all out of fetchable lands. Let's draw step this click. Not sure if there are things I could have done better this game, but I definitely feel like I messed up the first one. All right, what do you got? I'm gonna sit down for a bit. Christy and I were walking this morning, so I'm tired already. Oh, that feels bad. What's the last one? Show me a blank. Not only is it not a blank, but it's one that we can't click. I've played 6 creature lands before, Burgle. I think I'm bottoming that, looking for something better. I've played Fairy Conclave as another creature land. The Fumaroles are definitely very good against these control decks, though. I feel like this is not a block with Mutavault type situation. Yeah, exactly. I could probably cut a fetch land for a Fumarole. Or a Spirebluff Canal. Maybe I'll try 2 Fumaroles tomorrow. Yeah, I agree. Needing a lot of red is a big deal. Don't board a creature land. Just having 6 creature lands in 22 I think is fine. 22 is arguably like 1 land too many for this deck anyways, so... Alright, I mean, if we find like a Nimble Obstructionist to force through some points with this Mutavault, maybe we could be okay. Alright, so we're hitting 2 here. Fairy Conclave doesn't make red mana, is the problem. I don't know about that second game. The first game I 10 out of 10 messed up. I also think the more I play against those decks, the more I just want like less Vendilion Cliques, more Nimble Obstructionists. I'm thinking for tomorrow, I want the 4th Obstructionist and the 2nd Fumarole for the things that we're gonna try. No, the Obstructionist is terrible, and that's why I'm saying I want to try and play a 4th one. No, I'm pretty confident that 4 is the max amount of colorless lands and 22 lands. If we wanted to go up to 23 or 24 lands, you could play some Field of Runes, but I don't think we want to do that. No, this is card for card what we played yesterday. Stroke is better than the 2nd Negate, mostly because of... What's the card I'm searching for? A Primeval Titan. I want a pair of hard counters in my sideboard for a Primeval Titan. Yeah, Marty, I've just decided that people ask so many frustrating questions when we play decks that I'm too... This is why I don't tune decks on stream, by the way. Because when I tune decks on stream, people just shout so many questions that feel frustrating and silly that instead of ranting at people, I'm just going to time them out and move on with my life. I have no idea, Pythrion. I don't have any experience with that. That's something I would definitely need to play with myself before I formed an educated opinion on it. Yeah, could you imagine if either of these was a Fumarole? It'd feel a little bit better. So I get to mana leak the front half of this and unsubstantiate the back half. And then feel bad that my unsubstantiate isn't a remand because it doesn't draw a card when I counter the back half. But this is where I'm at in my life. Alright, it's not bad. I got you, Stampede. They were great. They're great brews. So the problem here is they have 6 cards in their hand still. And they have another one in their discard pile. So I guess I Snap Mana Leak this. Oh, MTG bot. We're 1 and 2 in this league. Yeah, I can usually tell when I'm the one that gets you. You see me do it. Now they get to flash back Lingering Souls, which makes my Snapcaster Mage worse. It's better than nothing, I guess. I have a gift horse. You get a horse at 2 years. You get a shield when you get knighted. Because then Young Peasy's still going to make a 1/1 token, but I guess that one doesn't fly. I don't know. Yeah, I think we're pretty dead here. This is a matchup where I had... Well, I had 2 Staticasters on the board. And this is just like another great example. I'm going to talk about this one a little bit. Just... My favorite part about playing deck lists that aren't mine is when people suggest cards, I just get to be like, not my deck list, I didn't think about it. But like, just the constant, we're playing against Mardu Pyromancer, why don't we have Fork Bolts and Electrolyze? We're playing against Jeskai Control, why don't we have Ancestral Visions and all these other grindy cards? It's like, chat, you can't change your deck with every matchup that you play. That's not how Magic works. It's not how good Magic works, at least. Oh no, Card Bard, Friendly Fire. Friendly Fire. Alright, Card Bard, you're back. Sorry, that was my bad. My bad. It's just like watching confirmation bias in real time, right? Just like all these, why aren't we playing these cards that's very good in this specific situation, but really bad in lots of others? Well, I think of Bant Spirits. I think it's a fine, playable Modern deck. I think it's plenty reasonable. I think this is all I want to do. I think it's these 3 in. What did I cut? I cut a Spell Pierce and Unsubstantiates. I don't actually know. That's why I'm playing games with it. I don't actually know what actual problems are. That's why I'm not making changes. That's why I'm playing games with it, to learn what things feel good and what things feel bad. That's why I'm doing this thing called practicing instead of just like changing random cards every league. Brainy Ray would be great. I would 10 out of 10 play 4 Brainy Ray in this deck. hand just, like, doesn't do anything, right? But I'm, like, not mulliganing against a deck that has a bunch of discard spells. I guess it's technically 4 spells, right? I'm gonna play Mutavault on 1 here, because if they tap out for a discard spell or something on 1, I'm just gonna smack them with it. Brittany raised a card from another card game. It's from a game called Hex that I played for a while. There is a form under the stream that you can fill out and submit for finding out if I'll play a given deck on stream. Esper Mill sounds like a Monday deck, yep. So they didn't bin a Souls there, but it's also possible that, like, Souls is so good against us that they wouldn't bin it even if they had it. I'm gonna send that Bolt upstairs, that way I have the option to Snap Bolt this turn. I think I'm gonna put the 6th creature land back in this deck, Burgle. And I think I'm going to make it the 2nd Fumarole. I've liked having a lot of red mana, but just like flooding with only 5 creature lands feels real bad. This deck doesn't have enough threats to play Looter Scooter. We also are already kind of at... People keep suggesting cards that don't flip Delver. Like, we already have a pretty low number of cards that flip Delver. I can't cut more of them. Puts them to 12, this puts them to 9. Hopefully this attack puts them to 7. I assume one of these is going to eat it, but I guess there's a chance they both eat it. Joke's on you, opponent. My hand's really bad. Man, you know what's great? Having 8 lightning bolts in our deck is great. Never forget that Mutavault makes Wizard Lightning Strike in a pinch. Ooh, that's a pretty good one. Entrancing Melody is a card that deals with Tarmogoyf and deals with Death Shadow, both of which are cards that are very difficult to interact with. So the Sprite makes this attack pretty good, right? That's a bold fetch. That's a bold fetch, opponent. We are literally have Spell Snare in the deck that we are playing right now, Claywalk. Mono blue Painter's Servant. That sounds different. It's going okay. Getting justly punished for playing poorly so far today. What if instead of taking my card, I took it and blasted you? This sends a very important message to my opponent, and that message is, I understand you have this young Pyromancer in play, but I'm winning this game by killing you. There are things we do and don't have time for, and the young Pyromancer is on a list of things we don't currently have time for. That message is take 3. Meaning K commanded here. Joke's on you, opponent. All the cards you want me to discard here would kill you in response. So we have 3 snaps, 3 bolts, 3 wizard lightnings that are lethal here. Actual, factual, molten rain. Why does everybody board this card in against every deck we play? If this deck had enough fairies to play Mistbind Clique, it would play the crap out of Mistbind Clique. It does not have enough fairies to play Mistbind Clique. I'm gonna play this now because I can take a Terminate or a Culligan's Command with it. Yep, you can keep those. Go. What percentage of games come down to need to top deck a burn spell? A lot of them. That's why I've had Burst Lightning in some iterations of this deck. Honestly, Burst Lightning might end up in the final iteration of this deck. That card's really good. It's good against Celestial Colonnade too. It's possible like my Snare and my Snare and my Spell Pierce in the main deck should just be 2 copies of Burst Lightning for more reach. No, this is card for card what we played yesterday. Did you find a bolt? Nope. Alright, sweet. Lava Man was good. I wouldn't cut the Lava Man to fit the Burst Lightnings back in, but I do kind of miss Burst Lightning. I don't regret adding Lava Man. I do miss Burst Lightning, though. Correct, yes. Just like, having 12 bolts in our deck is pretty good for, I need to draw a bolt to win the game, by and large. As much as I hate to mulligan hands against an Inquisition deck, this one's a mulligan. Yeah, it's another like creature land style effect that that gives you some longevity, basically. That's a good way to put it. I consider cutting the Censor for a Burst Lightning. Yeah, maybe. Censor is definitely on the list of cards. The Censor, the Spell Pierce, the Spell Snare, those are like 3 cards that could probably afford to be something else if I wanted to. The Alpine Moons are fine. They're good against Tron and Valakut, which is where I want them to be good. We are very good at opting into lands. You're not wrong. I really kind of like having 1 Censor in my deck, because Censor is it's really good at putting the fear in them, right? And like, it's such a low, it has such a low downside because it cycles. F-Gator, this deck list is kind of an exception, though. A lot of the decks that end up on my website are not decks that I've worked on nearly as much as this one. Also, I do think there's such a thing as, like, it's very easy to put too much information and overload people on pages like what I'm creating. No, I don't think I want more expensive cards in the deck. I think the 6 3-drops and the 4 Snapcaster Mages is probably enough top end. Bloody Roar, thanks for the 3-month resubscription. A quarter of a year, welcome back, I appreciate it. Nah, I think Faithless Looting's pretty terrible. If I wanted more cantrips, I would play Opt. People are so used to hearing that Faithless Looting is this absurd card that they forget the fact that, like, it's card disadvantage. This deck really doesn't want card disadvantage. Alright. Mana Leak, triple Lightning Bolt. Pick your favorite with Thoughtseize. Yeah, I agree, Best Friends Forever. I agree. I think having such a variety of instant speed interaction puts your opponent in a lot of situations where they can just, like, never win no matter what they do. That's a pretty good one. If they have a bolt or a push here, I'm going to feel a little bit bad. I guess they discarded a push earlier, so maybe this attack is aggressive. Yeah, this attack's probably bad. They discarded a push earlier. Nope, this is card for card we played yesterday. Extra bad about letting the Mutavault die since we drew the only 4-drop in our deck. Do not think we're in a position to burn them out and ignore the Pyromancer this game, so we're definitely killing that. I mean, it kind of adds variance. When you have a lot of cards that are similar, they, like, offer similar effects, like, it's a little bit different. No blocks. So I'm going to 9 here. Let Mutavault die so Spirebluff would come in untapped, right? It's another Bedlam Reveler. The classic post-combat prowess trigger. I get to snap bolt them, and then if they don't have removal, I could kill them with the burn spell next turn. I think it's pretty unlikely Blood Moon ever gets banned. Untapped land's a good draw here too. Let's just get down Mom and Pop. It's kind of a brick wall. Assume this is dead. Yeah. Yeah, just by having, like, lots of different soft counters, you basically make it so your opponent is forced to pick every turn which ones they're playing around, and then they're often going to pick wrong because there's so many of them, and then you get to punish them for picking wrong, is basically what it comes down to. Because, like Spell Pierce and Mana Leak, like, those are similar cards in a lot of situations, except when they're really not. Like, right? Like, you can afford to play around some. No, I don't think I'm ever going to touch Commander again unless something drastically changes. No, we're 1-2. We beat something in the first match. I forget what it is at this point. This is our 4th match in this league, though. That's brutal. Oh yeah, we beat Storm. Forgot about that one. No, bad play. I should play better. We win more matches. I also think not having Burst Lightnings makes the Colonnade matchup a lot worse. The fact that they got to power through Mom and Dad there feels bad. That was one of our best ways to catch back up here. Now we have to get back in this game by, like, drawing a series of Snapcaster Mages to jump block and burn them out, I think. Commander isn't popular content. I play Magic to make content. So investing energy into making content that's not popular isn't a good decision for me. I've given it a chance multiple times. It's just not popular. At least for... It's not popular with the audience that I am currently working to reach or currently reaching. And modern content is very popular and I enjoy playing modern. Yeah, best of one also sucks really bad. Not necessarily. It's very possible like there should be a second Staticaster on my board too. This card's pretty good there and it's good in other places as well. If you open the donation queue, there are links to the decks that we're playing coming up in there. We're all about helping people help themselves here. So exclamation point donation queue in chat, just like the stream title implies. There's also a widget underneath the stream with links to the decks. I mean, I think whether Commander is good or bad is probably very subjective based on like the power level of the people you play with. Like, casual Commander isn't really balanced, right? It's just, like, balanced between people who play together. We did bring Staticaster in. This is the new match, noob. That was the post-match in between games point. Staticaster is obviously absurd against what the opponent was doing. We need our rematch against Celestial Colonnade here. Or are they playing Storm? Okay, Storm, sweet. All right, well, this matchup's good for us at least. I feel like I would probably enjoy Commander if I was playing like a Commander format where like someone had like 6 decks that were designed to play against each other and were all similar power level and we just played it like a board game kind of. Why are they Manamorphosing at the end of my turn? Yeah, what do we think of this hand, chat? Is it good? I think I'm actually just gonna let this resolve so I can play my Vendilion Clique this turn. And playing my Vendilion Clique gives me a lot of information about how I want to sequence my stuff against their cards. They don't have another creature, so this is great for us. You just click no. Again, the best clicks are the ones where you don't take anything. How do you beat Greetron with this deck? By playing a creature and then attacking them while you counter their spells or burn them. Yeah, you basically if you had commander decks that were designed like a party game, Magic probably makes a great board game in that aspect. But just like me building a commander deck to then show up and play with other random people playing commander, like that sounds truly miserable in my opinion. And you're welcome to agree or disagree on that. Like that's super subjective, right? But that doesn't sound fun to me. Probably an absurd amount of money, Gator. That would be a lot of work to put together. No, the Dredge matchup is basically unwinnable for this deck. Dredge is very good against fair, interactive mid-range decks like this. This deck is... While it has aggressive draws, it tends to be more mid-rangey than anything. I think I want Staticaster in this matchup. Lavaman's a little clunky. I think Censor's kind of bad. Seems pretty clean. Negate, Dispel, Staticaster. Cut these. Ask for a number. What are my paper basics of choice? I have a stack of unhinged lands that I play with. Oh, it's funny. I had a big giant box of basic lands that Declan dumped out when I was picking them back up with him. I found one of these basics that I'm playing with on Magic Line. I actually really like this basic. I just don't own them in paper. I'd probably play with these if I had a set, but I have Unhinged Lands that I've just owned for forever. So we talked about this when we played Storm in the first matchup. In my experience playing these interactive mid-range decks, Storm players tend to board out their Gifts Ungiven and at least one of their Past in Flames, and they tend to board into pieces of the puzzle. So while if Disdainful Stroke was in my main deck, it would be good against Storm game 1, I think post-board, Disdainful Stroke tends to have diminishing returns against Storm. Survey says... That's a good draw. It does counter Empty the Warrens, you're not wrong. I did just handle a paper magic card. I've got a big old... Did I put it in the other room? I think I hid it in the other room, so Declan couldn't dump it out again. I got a big old box of basic lands around here. Dredge is good against fair decks because Dredge isn't a combo deck. Dredge is actually a grindy deck. While it sometimes has explosive draws, it's actually very, very grindy. Opponents had enough. God bless you, opponent. I really miss the Burst Lightnings. Delver is not a wizard on the backside. I really missed the Burst Lightnings in those Colonnade matchups. So... I think when we play, we're going to play at least 2 leagues with this tomorrow, so I can try and settle on a final list. I think I'm going to put the Burst Lightnings back into the main deck. I'm keeping the Grim Lavamancers. And I'm going to play another Wandering Fumarole, I think. Burst Lightning just gives you more reach too, which is great. In my 8 Lightning Bolt deck, so probably, I think I'm going to turn a fetch land, and do I want to turn a fetch land or a fast land into a thing? I think I want to turn a fetch land. I think I want to turn a fetch land to this. Yeah, Spell Pierce felt really bad. That's definitely becoming a Burst Lightning. And I think I'm going to turn the 3rd Clique into a 4th Obstructionist. Like, we went up to 3 Obstructionists, and I haven't looked back. And not only is Obstructionist easier to cast on our mana, but Obstructionist effect is just very good. Really enjoying your content in chat. Keep it up. I've been playing some friendly games, Affinity versus Blue-Red Fae, and we found that post-board, Fae outright loses to Gyarapier Aether Grid. I think you just, like, counter their spell, Card Bard. Also, just, like, they generally don't have a lot of copies of that card in their deck, so just, like, hope they don't draw it is also a reasonable answer. I think the Affinity matchup is very good for this deck on average, so just, like, them having one card that lets them win is, like, whatever. Yeah, the cycling component lets you dig for the final burn spell. It was kind of hilarious against Chalice of the Void the other day, too. So, the reason why I think Nimble Obstructionist is good is because it doesn't have to be a Stone Rain. It's also a threat. So, like, in the games where Stone Raining your opponent lets you win the game on the spot, it does that. And in the games where Stone Raining your opponent doesn't do anything, you don't have to Stone Rain your opponent with it. I'm going to figure out the exact details of what I'm swapping for what later, probably tonight. We're going to move on to the next deck for now.